What's going on, people? So this pair of shoes right here, I've had for a while. Like I said in the video that I did before this one, I did some unboxing however long ago over on Instagram, and so now I'm finally getting around to talking about them, right? If you want to see the side of the box, there's that for you. Do whatever with it that you want to do with it. I honestly don't know why people get so into that. Not everybody, but there's like a couple people who are like into it, you know? It's a little weird to me in a way. But either way, so that's going on the side, right? Now, quick backstory in some sort of ways. These right here, I saw these pop up on some site, like some overseas raffle thing or whatever. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool because it had a kind of a different sort of look, you know, and that kind of pulls me in once in a while. And it's a trail shoe, right? So I was like, oh, well, let's see what's going on with this. And then that raffle, I ended up not putting in for it because I was like, I don't know, I think they were just going to come out to be like more than I really wanted to pay. But then they came out over on the Asics site at like 3 in the morning or whatever. And since I wake up a lot through the night for whatever reason, I happened to see them on sale. And I was like, oh, let's go ahead and buy this. One of those like middle of the night impulse purchases. Does anybody else do that, or is it just me? But anyway, so I saw them, bought them, and now here they are. And then, well, several weeks passed, and now here we are to talk about them, look at them, and all that good stuff, right? So I think that covers everything. So let's go ahead and knock this thing out, right? This review is going to be on these right here, the Brain Dead Asics Trabuco Max in whatever colorway they want to call this, but I did see cinnabar on the side, which is also the same name that I saw on the side of the last review. So I don't know what color that implies, but cinnabar is a thing that people are throwing around now. Down across the bottom, what you're looking at down there is a very rugged looking outsole, as you can see. Kind of reminds me a little bit of those Terex Ultra Parleys that I had. It's an Adidas thing, right? It's a boost trail shoe. So you got that, very colorful, right? And down there, one of the things you might have noticed is that it says Asics grip down in the middle, right? And so basically what that implies is it's one of the Asics trail things, you know, so as far as getting that extra grip and traction and whatnot, that's what you're looking at down there. So if you see Asics grip, there you go. That's what it means. Skipping up here to the midsole and all that stuff, kind of blacked out for the most part. Looks a lot like a tire in some kind of ways, like from the side, because it looks like tread, at least to me, right? And you're probably also going to notice it's got kind of like a sort of a rocking chair sort of thing, you know, kind of like angled or whatever, you know, rounded off in some ways. And so the thing behind that is that's going to be, and it's not labeled on here, but they call that, what is that? Guide sole. Like that's what Asics calls it. So basically what that is, it's designed in a way to kind of absorb like the impact from when your feet are hitting the ground and kind of guide you through each step, right? So the idea behind that being that it's going to make your legs work a little bit less, and which will lead to less fatigue over time, so that way you can run longer, right? And that's probably something you're going to see on a lot of shoes, at least running shoes. It's not specific to this particular model, not at all. Other brands just call it other things or whatever, you know? But there you go, guide sole. So anyways, moving on past that, one thing that you also see down on here, on the side, you got this little flight foam thing. So further down on the inside, part of what makes this up as far as the absorbing the impact or whatever, that is what that comes in. And it's kind of like what Adidas does with the Light Strike. So it's supposed to be like a lightweight but super cushiony sort of thing. So that's what's going on there. When you see flight foam, there you go. Now I believe that covers all the midsole happenings and outsole happenings. So real quick, as you can see from like this overview of the shoe, right? It's got a fair amount of stuff going on. It's kind of a different sort of look. It's probably not for everybody, and I get that. According to what I see as far as them being in stock, it's definitely not for everybody. But hey, it's for me, and that's why they're here. So let's go ahead and talk about these things as far as like the details go and all that good stuff so we can move on with our day. Now, down here around like the toe box and stuff, you do have this extra plasticky style thing, which is kind of common on a trail type shoe, right? So you got that going on. It's going to be like a sort of a dark purple sort of color, right? And it'll kind of help keep out some of like the extra waters and all that crap, you know? Because you're going to be on a trail. You don't know what you're going to come across. And then as you move to the back, well, not to the back, but move back from there, right? The one thing that you're going to see all throughout this shoe is like this kind of like weird sort of line thing that they have going on. And I was reading about it a little bit, and it said it was like, what was it, mycelium growth is what they're supposed to be basing this off of. Kind of like, I guess, like mushrooms and fungus type things that you might see growing on the ground, certain plants or something like that. So that's kind of what they were going for. It's unrelated, but if anybody's seen the Hannibal show, like I kind of thought about that when I was reading about these earlier. Wasn't there like a guy that got killed in there and then somebody was like growing plants or something out of his body or something? I don't know. Either way, getting back to this, right? So you got that going on. It's kind of good to have like this plasticky feel on the upper pieces, right? And then behind that, you kind of see like the meshy style thing, right? So it's got a nice little texture to it if you get real close in there. And then moving back just a little bit, in the middle area here, on the outside, you've got the Asics logo thing, whatever they call that. It's got like this plastic feel. I'm not sure if it's got any reflectivity to it or not because I didn't really look at it. And then on the inside, you also have another logo. This one, it just has like a slightly different look, right? But both of them are pretty much the same thing. They just kind of extend a good ways back. And then while we're back there onto the back end of the shoes and stuff, you have a lot more of what you saw on the front end. You do have a nice hardened out heel cup area to give your feet some sort of security and all that good stuff because you don't want to be slipping around if you're running on trails. It's not a good look, people. And one thing I don't understand is on the very back they have this Velcro for some reason. Now, if somebody out there knows what's going on with that, you can feel free to drop that comment down below and let me know. But either way, you got that going on, and then you got like a picture of a mountain. It says Trabuco Max under it, so there's that for you. Above that, you've got another one of these little pull tab type things for whatever reason. Guess it can help you put your shoes on or something. I usually don't need that, but hey, different strokes for different folks. Moving back to the front, right? So where all the lacing and all that stuff is, down at the bottom, you got this little thing, and I saw this on one of my other other trail shoe reviews. I didn't know what it was, and I said something about that. And some dude was like, "Oh, it's a gator," and he spelled it wrong. And so I was like, I don't even know what this means. So I was just like, okay, you know, thanks for that, I guess, because it wasn't the most helpful. But I just figured like, I appreciate you like taking some time to try to help me, you know. This time around, it's spelled out on here, Gaiter, right? And so apparently these are for those little like plastic overlays you can get and just kind of strap down to your feet so the rest of your ankles and higher don't get all like wet and nasty and stuff while you're doing the trail things. So it looks a little excessive to me, but that's what it's there for, to kind of help lock those things down. Anyways, moving along. So these laces right here, these laces are weird to me. I like them, don't get me wrong, and they feel kind of cool and all that stuff. I like the color. It's just a little different, you know? And one thing I noticed while I was tying the shoes and stuff, as you're pulling the laces tighter or whatever, like for the knot here, it's almost like each one of these, you kind of feel it like locking into place or something, which kind of reminds me of the articulation on the AEW Unrivaled or Unmatched series figures, you know? And I know that's a very specific comparison that not everybody can relate to, but trust me, it's accurate. So anyways, you got that going on. You got these nice green laces, very soft, very plush, very cottony feeling, so I do like them a whole lot, and they have a cool look to them that kind of matches up with like the overall weird vibe of this shoe, right? So there's that, and then behind that, you got what is pretty common on a lot of trail shoes. So you got this here, sort of a mesh style thing. This is a very thick tongue, by the way. And then as you get to the upper part, same sort of vibe. It just looks different, right? It's because this stitching pattern is more squared off and the upper one is more lined off. And then in the middle, you have Brain Dead, and that's going to be on both of them, right? I'm not familiar with Brain Dead as a company or whatever. I'm familiar with a lot of Brain Dead people. I see them in the comments all the time. But as far as this goes, no idea what they're doing. Anyway, so I think that about covers all of that. So let's go ahead and jump onto the inside, right? Now, down here on the inside, on this one, it says Brain Dead. On the other one, it says Asics. And that's going to be typical black text, green insole, nothing too fancy about it. Looking down into the actual inside of the shoe, got a lot of purple going on down in there. Overall, it's a pretty nice feeling thing to walk around in. I do like the materials and all that good stuff. One thing that I will say, and this probably could be covered in the comfort and whatnot section, but if you look at this, right, the way this tongue is done, if you want to really lock these things in, you might want to lace them up all the way to the top, which isn't something that everybody's into, and I totally get that because I'm right there with you on certain things. But just the way these are, you can get by okay if you just at least tighten the laces, but it just kind of leaves a lot of room in the front here for where your foot is going to be. So if you want something loose, you're fine. If you don't, you might not be okay. So just kind of keep that in mind whenever you're getting these and wearing them and stuff. But otherwise, like I said, nice plush tongue. Got the mesh style purple on the back end. Very cool, very cool. So I believe that covers pretty much everything as far as like the inside and outside of what the shoe looks like and stuff, and a little bit of insight into how it's made or whatever. So let's go ahead and talk about some personal thoughts, because that matters, at least to me anyway. I think these are pretty alright. Now, they came in at a cool $160, right? And I thought that that was not bad in American dollars or whatever. Like the Euros thing, it starts to get a little out of hand once in a while, right? So that's why I waited for them to be on the Asics site. But anyway, so I got them in hand now, and again, like I said with the last shoe, right? If you happen to find yourself running around being chased by some madman trying to kill you, or if he's just like walking slowly towards you with a big knife, you want to be able to get away. So it's good to have some trail shoes, right? Not saying you should take the time to switch shoes if that's the situation you're in, but if you do have the time, I suppose, why not? But overall, looking at these, I think they look pretty cool. I know it's not a look for everybody, and I honestly get that. But for me, it's a thing that I'm totally okay with, because I like to switch things up just a little bit. So this is all right. I really like the way they did these patterns on here and just like the textures and stuff. Very well done, very well done. And it adds yet another trail shoe to the lineup, because I like to have variety and choices and whatnot with my shoe wear. So that's kind of why I have like 16 pairs of shoes, or however many I have nowadays. So there's gonna be that for you. I don't think there's anything else left to say, so we'll wrap that part up, move on over into like the sizing and stuff, and then I will finish this video, move on to video number 3. Well, actually it's video number 4, because I did that mask thing too. Either way, sizing, right? Now, I bought these in my normal sizing of 9.5, because I have like a 9.5 size foot, so it kind of tends to work out on most things. Not that last video though. But anyways, on here, it's working out just fine. I wouldn't say you have like a whole lot of room in there, but I think it's just enough, right? And this was me wearing like wearing socks that were just average thickness or whatever, so nothing too crazy going on in there. So I would think that for a lot of people that's going to be fine as far as just the dimensions of the shoe goes, right? Now, moving on past that, when it comes to like the upper materials and all that good stuff, those feel really good too. So I have no complaints about that. It's going to be a little bit different maybe than you might expect from certain casual shoes. But again, when you wear things that are made for certain reasons, sometimes they're not going to feel like just like your normal casual wear shoe. So keep that in mind, right? But don't take it the wrong way. These are still pretty solid. Moving down here to the midsole though, that part feels pretty nice too. I can't quite say right now that it's better than my Pegasus Trail 3s, because that React is really nice. But once I get these out in action, then I'll come back and revisit that topic. But for now, I'm going to say that it's good. It's not as cushiony as the React is, but sometimes the extra stability is the thing that people want, right? That extra sturdiness under your foot. And then with like the midsole or the outsole being the way it is, looks like it's going to give you a good amount of traction. But just for now, for walking around in these in the apartment, I got to say, like, I am okay with the way they feel. And I'm thinking that just based off of things that I know about other trail shoes, I'm thinking these are going to be maybe somewhat along the lines of those Terexes that I was talking about, and feel pretty good once I get them out there. So I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, the weather's been terrible, so I don't know when I'll actually do that. But sooner or later, and then if it's within the next month or so, maybe I'll do one of those little shoe that I wore today videos about it. We'll see what happens. But I think that's about enough out of me as far as like this particular shoe goes. So we're going to wrap it up, because like I said, got another thing to talk about. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Watch out for people trying to kill you, because that's the thing that happens once in a while. And I'll be back with, like I said, another video in a little bit. So later, people.